These three gentlemen, representing their respective teams, will try to find the legend of the hidden temple when they enter Olmec's tomb. Will it be representing the purple parrots, Jonathan Nielsen? Representing the blue barracudas, Brian Espinosa. Or representing the green monkeys, Eric Watkins. I'm your host. I'm Kurt. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm Harry Broadhurst, and it's time to start the deep dive on Legends of the Hidden Temple here on Life is Like a Game Show.
So Harry Broadhurst will be seen tonight. It's a miracle.
Whoa.
We'll do this properly, even though I'm here, so I won't get fined. Harry Broadhurst will be seen tonight, so that we may bring you this feature presentation.
You see,
this
is when gimmick infringement will bring us together.
This feature presentation of the W2M Network available online at W2Mnet.com. Segue! Good evening, afternoon, whenever you happen to watch and or listen, as we are available in video format. And welcome to Life is Like a Game Show, the Legends of the Hidden Temple Deep Dive episode. I am your host for the evening. My name is Harry Broadhurst. Joining me, as per usual, or the three that are actually here on a week-in, week-out basis. Personal schedules, I should be good going forward. First, he is the DSDO. He is your anchor man. And in this particular instance, he's also your executive producer. He is Eric Watkins.
Let's just say you may or may not have been a little bit tied up.
I will neither confirm nor deny, but I will especially not deny. You know him as JTN 2002 if you're on Twitch. He is Jonathan Nielsen.
Hey, you could find us on Twitch too. And I'm repping the Purple Parrots with the epic purple shirt. Spoiler, more on that team at the end of the episode tonight.
All right, I'm going to screw this up, Brian. Is it League of Legends?
Yes.
Awesome. You can also find him on the League of Legends podcast here on the W2M Network. He is Brian Espinosa.
I got two things to say. First of all, I'm only here so I don't get fined. Second of all, y'all need Jesus.
Look, just because you're sitting there and you still don't know whether or not to listen to Dr. Manhattan, that's on you, man.
Not gonna lie, I almost wore my Y'all Need Jesus shirt tonight.
Well, there's some exciting games that are happening in a few hours here, and I've interrupted my precious sleep to do Life is Like a Game Show. So,
you're cramming this one in.
Yes.
Oh, that should go another day.
Well, then let's get.
This is going to be one of those nights, isn't it, where we're all just full of game show puns, aren't we? Like more so than normal.
God, I hope not. We have a time limit.
We have a time limit?
We've never had a time limit. Buddy. This is not Price is Right.
Yeah, we definitely ain't pulling that shit again. Let's make that crystal clear.
Look, if y'all sons of bitches go to 3 hours again, I'm out. Okay, like
don't. I'm sorry. Y'all looking at me for that one?
At the time of recording, it is 10:20 p.m. Y'all sons of bitches going to midnight. I'm going back to sleep. I gotta be up at 5 a.m.
All right, then let's get to it. As per the idea for the original formatting of this show, we give you a breakdown of the show that we are going to discuss. And for that, even though it is not a viable source for academia, it is damn sure a viable source for us here on Life is Like a Game Show. Yes, that's right. Gimmick infringement part duh. Let's go over to Jonathan Nielsen with the Legends of the Hidden Temple rundown.
All right. Ooh, hey, I get full screen for this. Awesome. So this show was on Nickelodeon back 1993 to 1995, produced by David G. Stanley and Scott A. Stone. Yes, Stone Stanley, with the voice of D. Bradley Baker as Olmec. Let's rock. Hosted by the one and only Kirk Fox. Man, he
Oh,
was
yeah.
nobody before this show, but he really made a name for himself with it. The number of episodes, let's see if I've got that available. 120.
Yeah,
Got
40
4 segments. You got the moat. You got the steps of knowledge. You got the temple games. And you have the legendary temple run. You start with 6 teams, of course. If we'll bring the gang back in, I'll pull up the old screen share, my bubber. You have...
Fun fact, before you continue, I want to let everybody out there watching us at home or listening to us at home know, if you are interested in going back and watching the old episodes of Legends of the Hidden Temple, all 120 of said episodes are available on Paramount Plus.
The owners of Nickelodeon, etc., etc., etc. So we start with the Red Jaguars. We don't
Boo.
like them. None of us are fans. The Blue Baccarudas.
Boo.
The Green Monkeys.
Oh,
Boo.
Are we gonna like completely look over the fact that he butchered the pronunciation of barracudas?
He
I don't like the
100%.
Barracudas. The
He
Baccarudas.
100% did that on purpose.
Yes.
Yes, and if you think I'm gonna let him slide for it, you're mistaken.
It's okay. He can be a purple pirate all he wants to.
Orange iguanas. Yeah, nobody likes them.
I mean, I always
The
thought
Purple Pirates.
Boo!
Boo. I always thought the iguanas were kind of cool. It was an interesting.
Let's get the booze out for the team that really deserves it. The Silver Snakes.
Cheaters!
Boo.
Ahem. 4 strikes for them. Yeah, we really don't like that team. So all 6 teams go to try and cross the moat.
All right, so we just ran over the original team, so now we're going to go through the show run itself here. And the very first thing that the original episodes of Legends of the Hidden Temple had was the moat cross, where it was a different kind of form for each particular episode. They used different ways to get across said moat, but the object always is the first 4 teams to get both members of the team across the moat and hit their gong advanced to the second contest, which was the Steps of Knowledge. Eric, did you have a particular moat crossing that you remember especially fondly?
I always liked. I know, of course, obviously the rafts were like the main feature, but something where you just had to grab on.
Same.
That upper arm strength going across. It's like you
Not
were
on some
always
of
going to
those.
the backyard and like building yourself up for that, you know?
And on some of those, you couldn't let your knees touch the raft you were on. But speaking of history, though, with the moat crossing, the team that actually won the most crossings by season, Red Jaguars, 33-7 in the first season. Season 2, it was your Green Monkeys, 33-7. Season 3, it was your Green Monkeys, 31-9. Overall, it was the Red Jaguars, however, 90-30.
Okay,
you,
I have.
Nickelodeon.fandom.com for all the statistics.
Yeah, you were saying
links to them
something
in
about
the show
seeing
notes.
somebody on the steps of knowledge. Thank you very much.
I was literally just literally just about to ask where you got that information from. So thank you for the plug. I appreciate it. Brian, do you have a particularly memorable episode or way to get across the moat from Legends?
No, not really.
I'm with Eric on this one. I always liked the ones where they had to do like the tightrope walk, where it was just the two ropes suspended above the water. I thought that the raft episodes, and especially the ones where they were throwing the lifeguard buoys back across, I always thought those ones were kind of boring. Especially because some of those kids could not throw for shit.
Yeah, I mean, some of that, it's like, okay, how many times do you have it before you realize how you have to aim?
So there's a thing with the moat. A lot of times on episodes of game shows, you will see a little caveat in the end credits saying portions not affecting gameplay have been edited for broadcast. This is notorious for it. There was, according to various sources from Kirk Fogg and production folks, yeah, there might have been a moat crossing that took over half an hour for the team to compete. That was very well condensed down. Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the steps of knowledge. Jonathan, I'm sure you have statistics for this as well.
Oh, you're damn right I do. Oh, hey, I get full screen for this. Nice. Steps of knowledge, wins and losses. Season 1, your best team was Silver Snakes. 19 wins, 12 losses.
Cheaters!
Boo.
Season 2, oh, well, looky there. It's my Purple Parrots, 17 and 8. We didn't get there often, but when we did, watch out.
Boo all the same, boo.
But Harry, season 3, your Barracudas were off here, 7 and 14. That was like the worst ever.
Oh, ouch.
Swerve. Yeah, it was the Green Monkeys, 25 and 6.
I'm sorry. Well, what was that? What?
25 and 6 for them Green Monkeys.
Thank you very much.
Garbage. The whole freaking
Overall, numbers-wise, it's the Green Monkeys 48 and 40. But percentage-wise, it goes to my Purple Parrots 38 and 32.
Eric, do me a favor.
Percentage-wise, we got you beat. Number-wise, you got me beat, Eric.
Send us back full. Eric, do me a favor. Make sure you copy the link to the fandom website in order to put it in the show description. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Voice of Reason. We have missed you the past few weeks.
Boy, have we ever, especially with Price.
Yeah. Just as a heads up and an executive decision here, we will be returning to a Price is Right deep dive down the road where we break it up into the proper parts that was originally planned. So that way we can kind of give the show the full coverage that it deserves.
We gave that show 3 hours of coverage. What more could we talk about?
We're going to put it all into a nice, pretty little bow when we discuss it this time.
Did you listen to that 3-hour ramble?
Bits and pieces.
I thought the show was fine.
I go back to what I said in the group chat. It takes a really dedicated fan to listen to 3 hours on any subject on a podcast.
A 3-hour tour, a 3 copyright.
It's a deep dive. Of course, it's going to be long.
That's what she said.
Hey, that moat wasn't really that deep, guys.
All right, let's get back on topic here. So, I will say this much, and I'm going to kind of give a preview here. The very first thing that I said to Eric when I was watching the reboot, and we'll talk about the reboot in full, which, by the way, how topical is this coverage here, coming literally 4 days after the premiere of the relaunch of the franchise over on the CW.
Speaking of which, how close was that poll?
I mean, with that, and I will bring this up on screen, You talk about close. Well, if you were any other show, it was real close. Otherwise, not so much. Not so much.
Dang, I'll
Yeah.
get my high rollers another time.
Man, I would be totally down for some high rollers. I watch that on YouTube all the time. All right, back to Legends. Let's not get off track here, and especially not with me steering the ship off track. One of the very first things I said to Eric when I was watching the remake was, because they showed the original moat, and we'll talk about all this when we go into our review. They showed the original moat, and then they said one team will advance, and I'm sitting there thinking, so wait a minute, it's going to be an hour-long episode dedicated to getting across the damn moat? What? I think the very first message I sent to you, Eric, is no steps of knowledge.
Yeah, and I was like, no. You've got your steps of knowledge. They did that part right. More on that later.
All right. Moving forward from these steps of knowledge, let's talk about the temple games, Jonathan.
The one thing I must say that was a difference between the old and new. The old, you started with 6, and the moat knocked you down to 4 teams. The new, it was 4 becoming 3. Either way, at the end of Steps of Knowledge, you had 2 teams. The temple games were wide and varied, depending on the theme of the legend of the week. But you always had in the old version 3 temple games. First 2 were played for a half a pendant of life. The third was played for a full pendant. Max of 2 and a minimum of 1 for the team that would make it through to the temple run. Some
Did you just
of these
press
games
the bird?
were built for first to
No.
finish something. Sometimes
Ring
it's a
finger.
race against the clock. Sometimes it's the best in a minute. But there was a wide variety, and there were a wide variety of sound cues used for them too. I think there were like 5 different backing musics that were used for the temple games. But yeah, a third game mattered a lot. The new version, you only did 2. 1 pendant each.
All right. Let's talk temple games, Eric. Is it just me, or did it seem like the difficulty level on some of these temple games were way too high for 12-year-olds?
I mean, you could tell when the network is like, you know what? We're running a little bit low on our budget for a round of this time. We gotta
too many
kind of
people to space camp.
Yeah, we got to kind of up the ante to make sure it's as difficult as possible, not just in the temple games, but the run itself. Yeah, they're like, okay, what would be extra brutal? All right, let's make this work.
Yeah, let's make them crawl backwards on their butts, pushing a rock up a hill and trying to fit it into a square. Brilliant.
I'm sorry. Those were one of the ones that I actually liked. Maybe it's because I've always had a moment of schadenfreude, but I got enjoyment out of those.
I mean, there was something funny about watching those little kids biff.
Speaking of
Given the fact that, admittedly, I am of the age that when this show originally started airing, I would have been a little bit younger than the kids competing. So I would have been sitting there at home thinking to myself, oh, I could definitely do that. What are they doing?
There was one style of game where you had this, I guess, like a metal bar and a seesaw that was rotating around. Like one of the players was up high to reach something up high, the other was down low, and they had a
I remember
going
that
around
one.
and up and down. I remember watching that, but like, dude, if I was on that, I would be puking like those kids were in the temple when they got scared by the temple guards. More on that later.
I'm going to end up quoting the longest yard here. I think he shit himself.
I think there was one of those too in the temple. But should both teams be tied with 1 pendant of life, at the end of the temple games, there would be a tiebreaker podium wheeled out. Olmec would ask 1 question. You buzz and get it right, you're going to the temple. You buzz and get it wrong, you ain't going no temple. Simple as that. The third temple game in the new version was that tiebreaker. So either way, on the new version, you're going in with 2 pendants. Versus the old version, you're going with 1, 1.5, or if you pulled a sweep of the temple games, you got 2. You're in pretty good shape.
All right, can y'all hear me now? I had a little bit of
Yes.
technical difficulties there. All right. Yeah, we'll talk about the tiebreaker question for the new Temple games here. Do you have statistics as far as most Temple games victories, Jonathan?
Temple games, since these are widely varied, I'm going to give you all 6 teams this time. Red Jaguars 65 and 55. Baccarudas 69 and 42. Most wins to the Green Monkeys 84 and 60. They also have the most losses.
That just means we got there a metric shit ton. Thank you very
Hold on.
much.
Hold on. 120 episodes. Oh, these are individual game results. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, 3 games per episode.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
just
the
did the
numbers are
math in my
slightly
head.
skewed.
That's why the numbers are skewed. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Orange Iguanas 75 and 36. My Purple Parrots 60 and 54. Those darn snakes 68 and 52.
So the best
Pendant
overall.
totals,
Wait a minute, real quick. The best overall percentage goes to the Iguanas at over 67%.
Interesting. Pendant totals also reflect this a little bit too. When the Iguanas won, they won big because they're second highest in pendants earned.
I bet behind
Jaguars
the green.
46, Barracudas 44.5, second lowest. Green Monkeys 56, Orange Iguanas 51, My Purple Parrots second lowest 39.5, Snakes at 45. Tiebreakers. This is why it sucks to be a Parrot fan, folks. Jaguars 3 and 5, Barracudas 2 and 1, Green Monkeys 5 and 3, Iguanas 6 and 3, Purple Parrots 1 and 7. Hush your mouths, people. And Silver Snakes 5 and 3.
You know,
I wasn't gonna say anything. You know, success just speaks for itself.
The one time we won that tiebreaker, we won in the Temple.
we'll talk about Temple.
Parrots are
We'll
like
talk
the
about
New York Jets. They do it once and they do it well.
Yeah, but you hear about it for the next 50 years.
We'll get to the Temple run itself here in a few moments here, but back to the overall Temple games here. Eric, that is
I do have one more stat. The number of times the teams went to the Temple, which would be a perfect segue into the Temple itself. Jaguars went there 20 times, Blue Barracudas 19, Green Monkeys 24, Orange Iguanas 25,
88,
Parrots 11,
99.
and Silver Snakes 21. Yes, that adds up to 120.
I was doing the math as we were going through.
I know that's
We'll
why
talk-
I was slowed it down so you can keep up.
We'll talk about the overall success rate in the Temple here, because let's be honest with you folks, when we say that they didn't want you to win in the Temple often, they didn't want you to win in the Temple often. Weren't a whole lot of kids going to space camp.
Even though it was right also in near Orlando, Kennedy Space Center, and all that, space camp is expensive. At least it was back then.
There were in the later seasons trips to Mexico even, so they did up their prize amount, but they upped their difficulty to go with it.
That being said, I'm not gonna lie. Those wheelie shoes, the ones with the wheels on the bottom of them, I'd have totally rocked those as a 12-year-old.
Heelys, I might still own a pair.
Of course you do. Brian, you've been quiet. Anything to add about the Temple games here?
No, not particularly.
All right. You'll have to forgive him, folks. He's dead to the world. He'll be joining us more specifically for our review of the relaunch of the franchise here a little bit. All right.
Not
go
to
ahead, Eric.
mention, again, he's also going to be chastised potentially even more by Dr. Manhattan during the next Video Games to the Max episode, where we cover the latest in the League of Legends group stage at the World Championships.
Oh, don't worry, Eric. I'll be chastising you on the kickoff. Maybe the next game show we should do is Catch 21.
Do the monkey.
At least he didn't pile onto the chastising as well. I'm getting enough of it from every side today, so.
I don't know which team you like.
As he was eating still?
Does anybody else know? Because apparently I'm not getting an answer from Brian.
Well, that's because, again, I thought he had mentioned Blue Barracudas as well, but sitting there being another lonely Jets fan.
In terms of this show, yes, Barracudas. In terms of League of Legends and the Video Games to the Max podcast, I got no idea.
I don't understand the context of the question, which was why, like, Blue Barracudas was you know,
it was more of an.
If we were
NFL
talking
question.
about, well, yes, you were not paying attention to the screen because I gave you the answer.
Also, for League of Legends, Cloud9.
But yeah, I have
He's
no idea
all
what that
on
means.
the North American Hopium and Copium, and yeah, there's been discussions about that, hasn't there?
I might have OD'd. Probably why I'm not awake today.
Y'all have to forgive me. The video game conversations are foreign to me. I'm still rocking Spyro.
But when it comes to the temple, and really most so when it comes to W2M Network, and which podcast to listen to, the choices are yours and yours alone.
Good luck.
Really?
All right. Well, let's talk about that particular luck because more of these teams.
Really? Really?
Yes, really.
Yes.
Yes, really.
Gimmick infringement is encouraged on this network.
And remember,
right.
Gimmick infringement is a W2M network exclusive.
All right. Speaking of luck when it comes to this particular show, let's talk about which teams did and didn't have it inside of their respective temple runs, Jonathan. To the stats.
To the stats. Let's get this out of the way first. We only made it there 11 times. We won 3, we lost 8. The life of a purple parrot is a tough life. It's not as bad as the orange iguanas, though. They only won 4 and lost 21.
27.3%.
Red Jaguars, 4 wins,
Ooh.
16
that
losses.
would be 16%.
They were slightly better there. Barracudas won 5. They lost 14. So that leaves the Green Monkeys and those dreaded Silver Snakes.
Yeah, I can't do division for 19 in my head. I'm going to need a calculator for that one.
Yeah. They each won 8. Green Monkeys lost 16. Silver Snakes lost 13. So they have the slightly better percentage. But when it comes to temple guards, there's a reason why the iguanas don't win often when they make it there pretty frequently. They found 59 temple guards. Your Green Monkeys, yeah, they found 51 of them. Red Jaguars found 44. Barracudas and Snakes each found 43. Purple Parrots didn't find many of them. We only found 25. But then again, we only made the temple times.
I'm about to say, what was that? So you basically were finding a little more than 2 per clip. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but when we made it there, we had quite a few pendants, thank you.
All right, do me a favor. Real quick, count up the overall victories.
Overall victories, the top 2 are Monkeys and Snakes at 8.
16.
Then you've got Barracudas at 5.
21.
Jags and Iguanas at 4. Unlike the Jacksonville Jaguars.
29, which is how many games in a row the Jaguars are on their way to losing.
And 3 from the Parrots puts you at 32 out of 120. That's just over a quarter. You didn't get a 30% win rate in this bonus game.
32 and
You
88.
know what? I'm on the side of Bills Mafia, even when the last time we played in the playoffs, we won. Okay, don't make me change that.
We got the Titans this week. We'll talk about that game tomorrow night on the kickoff. A special Friday night edition.
Nobody circles the tiebreaker wagons like the Orange Iguanas.
JTN, buy or sell. My froze. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
good.
I don't know why. My internet is acting shitty tonight. I do apologize. JTN, buy or sell. The temple was too hard for 12-year-old kids.
Hold. It was
That was
right
not an
based
option.
off the. It was. If the prize was lower, sell. If the prize was a little higher, I'd buy. They threaded a very close needle there.
Brian, buy or sell. The temple was too difficult for a 12-year-old game show. Your microphone is turned off, sir. There you go. You're live. You're hot.
not really, but I mean he's wearing a hoodie, so
His microphone also is not working again, too. Eric, while Brian figures out his microphone, buy or sell.
I'm gonna sell again. John just mentioned if you got, especially in those days, trips to space camp, fantastic experiences. I've been to Kennedy Space Center and been part of that experience. You got trips to Mexico. With those kind of budgets, I think they did it just right. So I'm gonna have to sell. I think they did it perfect.
Has Brian broken his microphone once and for all? Can we hear him?
It's a bad cable. We actually swapped. When you were on assignment, we actually swapped the microphones. And, yeah. It wasn't even working on my end, but it works on his for some reason.
It's not especially working on his at the present moment.
It's there. It's a bad cable because I moved the stand. That's all it is. The cable's not long enough.
All right, so
I've released some tension, and I say bye. I recall way more losses than I do wins on that show. If you have a game show, you want to see somebody. I understand, insurance payouts and whatnot, but you don't want to give away the entire bank and blow the whole budget. But you want to see people win on a game show. And a lot of the episodes that I remember watching, they didn't win the Temple Run. And obviously the stats kind of support that. So I have to agree that actually, to be honest with you, overall, I thought the whole show was too difficult for 12-year-old kids. I thought it was more of an adult show. Or at least like a late teen show.
It's funny that you say that with the remake focused on adult contestants, and we're about to get to the review of that here. I just did some quick math in my head. Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. 4 and 11, it would be how it would break down with 32 and 88.
Yes. So 4 out of every 15.
4 out of every 15 episodes. Yeah. They would have somebody that would win there. So you're looking at a 21% clip thereabouts?
5 out of 15 is a third, so
3 out of 15 is a fifth. So yeah, you're looking
30.
Splitting the middle 26, 27% ish.
So yeah, a quarter of the time somebody wins the grand prize. That's not a great number. That's not how you get the ratings.
26 2/3%. Yeah, I pulled out the calculator.
Again, my point stands. That's not how.
All right.
But a low win rate makes the wins count that much more.
And I mean, honestly, go back and you find some of those contestants who actually won. Now, again, you didn't have to worry about the same tax purposes and things as you would in other states because Florida, you going and as a kid, find them and talk about how their times were on those trips or going to space camp.
Oh, speaking of temple win rates, there's one big asterisk you have to put on one episode.
Can we? There is one piece of information I am curious about here, JT, and I don't know if it's going to be on the site or not. Fastest completion of the temple.
That's your big fat asterisk. There was a run. It's not on the site. It's just something I know of when I did the deep dive research over the past week. The Red Jaguars had a freaking beeline run. You know why? Because the producers forgot to lock the fucking doors of the temple.
Oh, whoops.
And where were those temple guards? Not even at their stations. Yeah. Rigged Plinko board part 2, anybody? Yeah. So, fastest run, big fat asterisk. They still got paid, though.
Hey, producer's fault, not theirs.
Exactly.
Wait. This ain't The Price is Right. We can't be referencing Plinko boards.
Hey, they left the guide wires in. They left the doors unlocked. It's the same thing.
I mean, I don't disagree.
As someone on here who would be, or who is actually here for once, but I'm going to say it anyway, it do be facts, though.
It do be facts,
Yes,
though.
Viacom, just saying.
All right, so that kind of that kind of wraps up our deep dive into the original version of the show. We'll have. Do you have a couple?
No. There are a lot of rooms in that temple, sir.
Uh-oh.
Are we really gonna discuss this room by room?
I'm just gonna go over the first layout. Yes, the site of data has all 16, including the first episode we saw this week of the new version. Every layout of the temple is outlined there. Go look it up if you want to. We're not going that deep. We're not doing no 3-hour tour.
Well, I'm about to say 16 is less than 112, so...
I don't have the beverage on hand for that kind of a read. But you do have rooms like the Room of the Three Gargoyles, the Wall Climb, the Observatory, the Heart Room, the Room of the Golden Idols, the Torch Room, the Mine Shaft, the Tomb of the Ancient Kings, the Swamp, the Throne Room, the Pit of Despair. Yeah, that's where the medical maladies all happen. The Cave of Sighs, and let's see if I can do this right. Everybody's going to get a turn on this one because we know this room. It's the Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
The Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
Harry?
The Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
Brian?
I'm only here so I don't get fined.
So he's the one that's having the trouble assembling that damn statue. So
he
felt
felt
a lot better when adults were doing it, just saying.
Actually, he fell into the pit of despair. Woe is his sleep schedule. Woe, good sir. That
Okay.
deserves-
For that one.
I'll take it. Round of
I'll
applause.
give you golf claps.
All right. So now that we've officially gone back and given the original rooms of the original temple as well, I think that kind of wraps up our coverage of the original version of the show.
Wait, hold on. Did somebody say the Shrine of the Silver Monkey?
Oh, now
Jesus
you do
Christ.
it.
That was as bad as the film.
Look, if you're going to troll me, I'm going to troll you, okay?
I'll say it again. That was as bad as the film.
Anyways, all right. So I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast that this could not be coming at a more topical time for this particular deep dive, as the CW decided to relaunch the franchise as a Sunday night counter to NBC's Sunday Night Football, which means yours truly has to watch this on a delay on demand on Spectrum. Your viewership may vary.
I was driving back from my out-of-town assignment over the weekend, so I had to get it on the CW app.
I went ahead and I looked at it. I made sure to have it DVR'd, as I do with a lot of my shows. So after the game, which ran along because, lightning, I went ahead and I looked at it on the DVR.
Yeah, it's ironic. Lightning in the stands for Kansas City, lightning on the field for Buffalo. That one was for you, Robert Taylor. All right. Yeah, I wasn't home for the premiere. I wouldn't have been watching the premiere anyway because it was my Bills on Sunday Night Football. So obviously I would have chosen the Bills game anyways. But I did get the opportunity to check out the show yesterday while we were doing our research and our prep for Life is Like a Game Show. All three of the rest of us got our chances to check out the premiere of the relaunch of the franchise while getting ready for Life is Like a Game Show. So I'm going to go around in kind of a loop style here, and I'll start with Brian.
If you don't mind, Harry, gonna use one of my gimmicks. Judge Bob didn't just have the X; he also had the O for it's good. So,
wait, sorry, I was tuned out for a moment. What are we talking about now?
Hi, Majide reference. So,
all right, Jonathan.
The thumbs up is the O. The thumbs down is the X.
I thought we were giving it a digital score.
Why are we doing? Hold on a moment. Pause everything. Why are we trying to do visual gags
on an potentially audio podcast?
Yes, thank you. If I have to get chastised for visual gags, y'all sons of bitches are going to get chastised for visual gags as well.
I was just giving Harry a chance to make the reference, and he missed it, so Brian had to catch it for him. Gimmick infringement. Again, we said it before, we say it again. It's a come to be expected around here, right?
It's not only expected.
Gimmick infringement will be seen tonight.
It's not only expected on the W2M network, it's encouraged.
And lest we forget always, it is expected, it is encouraged, but no matter what, it's a W2M network exclusive.
And you can bet on
have some hate mail to send about that. You could send it to s.garber@gmail.com.
You son of a bitch. That one's mine. All right. Make sure your mic is muted, Jonathan. Brian, open up yours.
Again, I'm serious. I don't know what the hell we're talking about. All I know is we've gone through 15 minutes of talking about bullshit gimmick infringement.
We're discussing the actual relaunch of the franchise. What did you think of the remake that aired on CW on Sunday?
I thought it was crap. Actually, okay. So overall, I give it like a C, like a 70. I was not impressed. I thought it looked more like I was watching an episode of Chopped or Beat Bobby Flay or some like competition where rather than focusing on the competition every 30 seconds, they were cutting away to some backstage. Yeah, no. They had barely half the amount of contestants that the original show had. I think honestly, probably the only good thing or two good things that I liked about it was the fact that they brought back D. Bradley Baker as Olmec, and the Steps of Knowledge were nice, but also they condensed the hell out of everything, and it just didn't feel right. It felt like a reality show and not a game show.
All right. We'll talk about that actually, because that was actually one of the big trending topics when I was discussing it with a couple other friends of mine as well. Go ahead and go back to mute, Brian. Eric, what did you think of the premiere of the relaunch of the franchise? Don't you look at me like that. I'm going in a circular order in how you guys are on my screen.
Okay, so what I am going to say about it is this, and I've mentioned it both in chat and to those individually as well. As soon as I saw the network it was on, I automatically am like, okay, I'm grading on a slight curve. Had this been a different network, a different approach, I would have thought of it differently. But with how the CW takes things, especially given the genre, and yes, I am pronouncing it that way, RIP, the genre of TV shows and their particular demographics that they attract, I knew that they were going to have a little bit more of those reality elements in it. That said, I personally give it an 86. I thought it was solid. I thought they did a lot of justice to the original. It's not perfect. I never expected it to be. And there is room for improvement in making tweaks. But as I also mentioned myself, knowing that they've got to do but so much with the contestant pool, I see why they did with the format for more maximization of episodes.
And I will go to Jonathan Nilsson to follow up on that here. Jonathan, do you think with the current ongoing pandemic that kind of condensed the contestant pool and is the reason that they decided to almost shorten the amount of teams participating on a week in, week out basis? And then I want your review of the show as well.
That might actually be the case, but if you also look at the set that they had designed, they were not in a cramped studio at Nickelodeon Studios in Orlando, Florida.
Agreed.
You were outdoors.
Hold on a second. Have you ever been to those studios in person? They are not that cramped.
I have 50-50, although the Legends studio was much bigger.
That was actually a big considering factor on why I'm not a huge fan of the show. It doesn't look right outdoors. To me, the temple and the set and everything should be like this grand, almost slightly overbearing nature to it, and putting it outdoors just made everything feel really small.
I'm sorry, Mount Midoriyama has entered the chat.
Rancid Randy, I think, would actually approve of this reboot more than most of us. Then again, he's the kind of person that would call Survivor a game show. More on that back in the brackets.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go with Brian's thought there, is that to me, I don't necessarily know that the relaunch came off as a full-on game show with the reality elements, the Survivor-esque elements interspersed. I don't disagree with Brian's assessment there. Personally, I enjoyed the show overall. I thought it was solid enough. I gave it a B-. I would give it a B-. I would probably land somewhere around Eric's 86 number, 85.
I gave it an 82, but it's highly variable for me based round by round. My opinion was changing throughout as
okay, and that's a fair assessment because I thought they did justice to the moat because they definitely.
No, you had a multi-stage moat. That's bullshit.
I loved
the moat. Is get across one task.
I loved the moat. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
No, the moat really brought it down for me.
No, for something like that, when you have fewer teams, you've got to make it more intricate.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Now, if they went ahead and they kept the original 16 format and you had to knock it down to 4, then you simplify all 4.
Okay, you want to make it a harder moat crossing? Make it a wave pool.
Man, fuck them wave pools. And
yeah, they'll fuck you up, them wave pools.
They will. It do be facts, though. Anyways, What did you guys think of the what did you guys think of the steps of knowledge in the presentation of Olmec's tale?
Steps, chef's kiss.
Agreed.
Did that right. They did the telling of the story right with the cartoon segues. I felt that was well done. Also, what pinned me down on the moat, when you had the original show, Kirk Fogg was calling that crossing live. Everything our new host was doing was post-edited in a friggin' sound studio.
Hold on. We'll get to Cristela Alonso here in a second. Don't worry.
She did a good job. It's just
We'll get to her in a second,
you could
Brian. Or Jonathan. Sorry, Brian.
All right, that's it. I'm done. Good night.
Sorry.
Ooh,
Sorry,
as the
Brian.
kids would say.
It's been a long week here at Casa de Broadhurst as well. Bring him back. Okay.
There's nothing I can do. He went ahead and he turned his camera off. I might need to summon someone for this.
Brian Espinoza will not be seen tonight.
No, not anymore, apparently. That was my... I apologize, Brian. Jonathan, we'll get to Cristela in a second.
Yeah, she is a different...
Look, I know I'm the grumpy fuck, but I have a reason for being a grumpy fuck, okay? I'm trying to have a somewhat decent sleep schedule so we can actually do this other freaking podcast.
All right, yeah, I do apologize. That was my fault there. We will come back there. What did you think of the steps of knowledge, Brian?
I thought that okay, so thematically, like visually speaking, they did an amazing job. I wish they had kept it to more of the, or closer to the original format with more questions and more contestants. The steps of knowledge, they had the right design, yes, but they just didn't really look that great because they weren't as big and grandiose. And again, the whole outdoors, part of it was the outdoors thing, but part of it was fewer contestants on the steps of knowledge made them look less
impressive.
I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I'm trying to think of a word and it's not coming to me.
Like had less gravitas?
No.
Although gravitas is
Regal
a good word there.
Is kind of closer to what I'm looking for, but
elegant.
Yeah, maybe elegant.
All right. Speaking of grandiose, though, they definitely stepped up, in my opinion. They definitely stepped up the presentation of the Temple Games, I thought. I thought that the Temple Games were super maximized compared to what they were from the original kids show. And one could argue just as difficult as some of the Temple Games that the kids themselves went through. You guys talked about how those Temple Games would have been difficult for a 12-year-old. These Temple Games were difficult for adults, and I thought that they justified the Temple Games in doing so.
Yeah, well, considering the fact you had a wardrobe malfunction equivalent of a Super Bowl, and contestants couldn't shoot free throws as good as Shaq.
I'll say this about the Temple Run. They didn't have GoPros in 1995.
Man, some of those shots were terrible.
Was well filmed. The run was well filmed.
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple what they did there. They just put GoPros on the guys, and then they edited it all together in post. I mean, it's still impressive, but it's exactly, from a technical aspect, it's exactly what was done.
All right. Overall, though, what did you guys think of the temple itself? How did you guys like the layout of the temple itself? Jonathan, I'll start with you.
True recreation of the original, I would say. They basically took the best elements of rooms from the original, cobbled them together, and holy shit, a monkey is actually easy to assemble. What the fuck?
Eric, your thoughts on the new temple?
It's like I had said to you directly. You had flashbacks and a lot of elements of the original show. They made it more grown up, but that it was never really off. And I had mentioned this before in a kind of a take. They really added to the elements that have come along in recent years, like Ninja Warrior, or for those who watched ESPN back in the day before Ninja Warrior, like the Final Viking, like those sorts of challenges.
MXC almost.
Exactly. They incorporated some of those elements very well for the modern day into the rooms. And I thought that was extremely well done. Extremely well done.
Brian, your thoughts on the final temple itself?
I think the like memorable notable things that you remember from the original run, the ones that they brought back, they did really well. Overall, I think the difficulty was pretty good. There's not too much I can criticize about the actual temple run itself.
Do you like the extra minute being added to the temple timer?
I think when you're dealing with adult contestants who do not have as much energy and flexibility as kids do, it makes sense.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I personally thought that the 4-minute temple timer was appropriate. And honestly, if you would have had more of those 4-minute tempo timers on the original Cage show, you probably would have had better than a 27% winning percentage.
Very true. Also, did you watch the route that that my purple parrots had to take through that temple? Every most direct route was a locked door. You were purposely sent the longest route to get to the item of legend.
Well, I mean,
so here's a quick question. Do we know if this was the pilot episode that they decided to re-edit for broadcast?
I do not know.
Because talk about pilots, I got a story for you there, but continue.
Because if this is the pilot episode, it's possible that they rigged it so that they have to go the long way around.
Again, well, you don't rig pilots.
If there was a rigging, they would have had to put that in the caveats in the credits at the end. We did not see that, so it may have been a true pilot.
Well, no.
Well, not to mention,
they can predefine and tell standards and practices. These are the doors we're sealing off. As long as it's still completable, that's all standards and practices cares about in this case.
But normally, in the case of a pilot, wouldn't you agree, if those things kind of happen, you would lean more towards setting up to where the contestants win the grand prize? Not universally, but more often than not, so you get all of the different elements involved.
If you purposely staged it so the contestant would not win to show a loss as evidence, that is the kind of thing you'd have to put in the credits.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about...
Again, I have to, for a show like this, all standards and practices cares about is the task completable. They don't necessarily care about the manner in which certain prizes or props or other elements are set up, as long as the end goal is that it's completable. If they can demonstrate using one of their production staffers or whatever to say, hey, this is doable. Standards and practices doesn't care what fucking doors get sealed or what or where the temple guards are placed. Now, as far as pilots go, yeah, sure, you wanna showcase a win. Obviously, a lot of pilots will try to rig for that, but I'm concerned that this run of Legends of the Hidden Temple is trying to keep to the same stat line that the original run did of very few winners.
Budget. That's exactly what I was leaning towards next.
Because
budget.
Their payout, if you guys paid attention to the show, their payout is not coming from the production company. It's not coming from Nickelodeon, Stone Stanley. Yes, it's Stone Stanley that did this. It's coming from Chime. Mm-hmm. So there's a pretty distinct possibility that Chime is like, hey, let's turn the difficulty up a little bit.
especially when you're getting them for a grand prize of 25 grand.
And the thing that now I could be wrong. I don't remember this from the original run, but guaranteed amounts if you just for getting into the temple, for grabbing the item of the day, and then getting out with it.
Yeah, the guaranteed values were nowhere near as high as they are on the current reboot. But in fairness, that's adjusted for inflation, one would think.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember there being, hey, if you get in there and you grab.
There were prizes for that.
Yeah, there were prize escalations on the original, depending on how far you got.
I don't remember.
For example, real quick, let's.
There was no prize tier for just getting the item in the temple but not bringing it out. That was new to this
wasn't
with the 10K prize level.
No, it wasn't. There was a tier for that in the temple in the original. It may have been a season 3 thing, but I definitely remember there being a thing where if you got the if you got to the item, you got some kind of reward. Yeah. I definitely remember that.
Because I remember like different scooters and stuff being some of the prizes.
Like the old super soakers and stuff. Exactly. Like you would get the Heelys for making it 2, or like a remote control car for making it 2. You would get like the high level squirt guns or whatever, like the super soakers or the bazookas or whatever they were, for actually grabbing the item, the artifact in question. And
I don't remember that
grand prize. You would win the grand prize if you made it out of the temple within the 3 minutes. All right, real quick before we go to our final thoughts on the show, I do want to get your guys' thoughts on one other thing from this particular relaunch here. Scale of 1 to 10, Jonathan. Cristela Alonso's performance as your hostess.
Her performance, I would give an 8. The production value of her performance, I would give a 5. The post-editing just killed it for me.
Eric, same question. Cristela Alonso is your new hostess for Legends.
Using my same CW curve, 7. And again, if they change all the editing and stuff, she can easily get 8, 8.5, and especially getting into the groove of the show. But for a first time out, 7.
Brian?
Apparently, I'm just super critical of this show for some reason. And it has nothing to do with the grumpy mood I'm in today either. But no, I gave her a 5. She's no Kirk Fogg. I would have liked to see her, for lack of a better term, more interactive with the show. I don't like the overdub of most of her stuff after the show. Like, what's the point of having a host if they're going to just overdub most of her voice? Like it felt like about at least 60-70% of her voice was overdubbed. Like, they didn't have her talk while they were doing temple games or the physical challenges or excuse me, the moat or anything. It was just you could quite literally tell she was looking at camera roll in a VA booth, and they overdubbed it, and they didn't even edit the sound to make it sound like she was live on the set or anything. They made it pretty obvious it was post-production ADR. In the original show, you saw Kirk Fogg like right up in the middle of the action with the microphone, that signature wireless microphone of his, calling the action, talking and cheering on the contestants and all of that. I really felt like she didn't even cheer on the contestants that much. Like, she is not...
Kurt, to be fair to that, though, Brian, Kurt Fogg was dealing with kids, whereas Cristela's dealing with adults.
And again, and I'm seeing Brian's point, but the only reason why I rated it as high, I don't see that partially as an issue with her. I see that as more the network and the production's failures.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to The elements that I had mentioned with the Ninja Warrior and American Ninja Warrior on NBC. They tried to have it something like that. The only difference is with the hosts of American Ninja Warrior, you can see out them from their host tower. You know they're commentating and doing everything live.
Matt Eisman and Akbar Bajamiamila.
Exactly. Matt and Akbar, they can cut to them. There's a lot of great banter. I would like to see them change their approach to something like that with Christella. I hope they learn quickly from this mistake and that they do so.
Well,
I hope so as well. And I see what you're saying, and I don't. That's why I didn't completely flunk her. Because also, who the hell is Christina Alonso? Like, this is one of those.
So much that you didn't know her so much that you didn't realize it's not Christina, it's Christella.
Exactly. Like,
all right, real quick though, before we go to our final thoughts here,
Christella Alonso.
No, you were not going to Wikipedia for this. No. Ixnay.
Stand-up comic, TV and film credits.
Somebody
Born
mute their
in
microphone.
San Juan, Texas, age 42. There's an ABC sitcom, Christella. That's where she's from. First Latina woman to create, produce, write, and star in their own U.S. primetime comedy. We have a niche comedian hosting the show.
Not to mention that niche comedian's show lasted a season, and I don't think
I was about to say, wasn't that like a one-season wonder on ABC?
Not only that, I don't even think it lasted a full. I think it only got its test 11. I don't even think it got a full back season pickup either. Anyways,
well, there you go. There's your thing.
I will say this much.
There's my point.
One thing I think we can all agree on. Definitely did this more justice than they did Supermarket Sweep on ABC.
Oh, sweet fuck yes.
Do you really want me to get more grumpier and angrier than I am now?
We'll get to that on the Supermarket Sweep deep dive. Don't worry. There'll be plenty of time to bitch and moan there, I promise.
And the Mortons will come out too for that one.
All right.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah.
Have you told our friend Harry here about me and Supermarket Sweep?
Harry, you know how I am about my things, especially when we talk about like deep level statistics and all of my favorite niche sports like cricket and all of that.
Is that how
he is about Supermarket Sweep and then some?
So I'm guessing that's like a top tier level game show for you.
Yeah.
That's like his number one, yeah.
Him to Supermarket Sweep is like me to Bumper Stumpers.
I did love me some Regis Millionaire. It kind of lost its luster with some of the further hosts afterwards, but I did love me some Regis Millionaire. All right. That is going to wrap up our deep dive into Legends of the Hidden Temple. Any final thoughts, Mr. Nielsen?
News, everyone. Apparently there's a
Before the news, final thoughts first. Then the news.
Wrap up, dummy. Yeah, you.
Jeez, way to ruin the segment.
Wait, wrap up. Well, I mean, given some of
family show.
I need whatever the hell you've been drinking.
I like it. Need to see more of it. Producers need to get their hands out of it. Let the show flow like the spice.
Eric.
Not bad for what it was. I think the CW can go ahead and kind of loosen the reins a bit. They've got something on their hands. They just need to realize it.
The CW is becoming a game show network.
Right.
For something like this, it works.
My final thoughts, and I'm going to put this into perspective here, right? Overall, I think they did a halfway decent job. And the reason why I say that is, or the reason why I think they did a halfway decent job is because they at least brought back the right people to run the show. They brought back Stone Stanley. The reason why I am so overly critical of the show more than the three of you guys is because they brought back Stone Stanley. They brought back the people that did the original show to do the reboot. I think Eric has a point. I think CW might be. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes there, obviously, but I have to highly suspect that the CW is putting a very heavy hand into, or at least a moderately heavy hand into how this show is being done. Now, obviously, it's been, close to it's been 20, almost 30 years since the original run was on Nickelodeon. You need to modernize a little bit, but we're also in that 90s throwback retro comeback era right now. The 90s are in. Why mess up something that was good in the first place? Just bring it back the way it was. Not obviously, use technologies advancements to your advantage. Like, I love the fact that they put GoPros on the contestants, and they're using that for Temple Run footage rather than what they used to do in the 90s, which was those 3-walled sets and the cameraman looks in through a fourth wall, and they couldn't really get any good angles or anything. Which was a pretty common occurrence for a lot of those Nickelodeon shows, like Finders Keepers, Think Fast, Legends, etc. I think you use modern technology, but you bring the show back the way it was. And yeah, that's my final thoughts on it. I think it's good. I think it has a lot of potential if they let Stone Stanley just do the successful thing that they did in the 90s. You have an actual good reboot.
All right.
So if there was an orange iguana fan here, they'd be salty as fuck.
Granted. All right, real quick, Jonathan, mute yourself again. I have a question specifically for Brian. Myself, Eric, and Jonathan did the greatest game show of all time tournament. You were unable to be a part of that. However, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Watkins. Legends went to the Elite Eight, I think, or did it hit Final Four?
I think Elite Eight. I'll have to go back and listen.
It got bumped by Double Dare, I believe.
All right, so let me ask you this, Mr. Espinoza. Legends of the Hidden Temple, the original version, top 8 game show of all time?
That's a tough question.
Oh, yeah. We faced a lot of those motherfucking 7-10 split.
That's a tough question.
Goddamn Rancid Randy. I blame him.
I'm still looking at flights out to Idaho.
Any comments from the audience, by the way?
Nope.
All right.
I can't answer that. I'll get back to you next week on next week's episode on that. I cannot. I don't think I can.
The idea behind it was to make you think it.
Genuinely answer that question.
Think, Rancid Randy. The idea was to make us think, not drink. Difference.
The idea wasn't to make us hate you. All right. That officially wraps up our conversation about Legends of the Hidden Temple. Hopefully you can interact with us over on Twitter at W2M Network and let us know what you thought of Legends of the Hidden Temple. We'll include the best comments on air in next week's broadcast. However, as I understand it, Brian, I believe we have a news desk to get to.
Yes, we have news today. And as usual with the news, I will
go full screen on Brian.
I will introduce it with a little bit of trivia as soon as I can find the window that was in there. Hey, there we go. What game show host owns a radio station?
I have Wink Martindale.
Eric, you want to take a guess at this? And no using Google. Don't cheat.
No, I'm not using Google.
I can't see you guys. I got put full screen. I don't like full screen. I do enough full screen on looking at myself at League to the Max or whatever.
But no, hands,
League
I
to
got
the max.
nothing.
Or whatever.
Yes, that is the name of the
All right,
new League of
take-
Legends podcast here on W2M Network, League to the Max or whatever.
I mean, it fits. It stays with the shtick that the W2M network has provided over the years. Just take them off full screen, Eric. Answer the damn question.
Like I said, I got nothing. And to prove here that I'm not using Google, you can see my hands visible, not on the
Then why did that
keyboard
table
or
just
any
move?
stickiness.
All right.
Holy show!
All right. I'll give you a hint. We have talked about them recently on this podcast in association with the recent show.
Drew Carey.
No.
Kirk Fogg.
No.
Oh.
All right, Veer, you get one more guess and then I'm spilling the beans.
Well,
I'm
trying to
tapping.
tap me out because I'm thinking, no way that could possibly happen.
3 strikes.
Pat
Oh,
Sajak.
Say what?
Pat
Say what?
Sajak. Pat Sajak owns an AM radio station in Annapolis, Maryland. And in game show news, he is selling that radio station as he plans to retire.
Okay, first of all, no disrespect to Pat Sajak. I say this first.
It's AM. I bid $1.
This is my point. Who?
It
No
also
disrespect.
has a low power FM translator, so it actually is an AM FM station.
I bid
Okay.
$2.
Okay, so with this, still no disrespect. Who the fuck gave him a radio station?
Apparently, I think he's owned it for about the past 20-25 years from what I was seeing.
Eric.
So who the fuck gave him a radio
Eric?
station during the time that I lived up there?
Eric, more to the point. Who the fuck thought it was a good idea to give him a late night variety series?
Okay, all right.
Look,
I stand corrected.
if he hadn't gotten that radio station, Craig Ferguson wouldn't have gotten a set to do his show on. So,
But it's weird because I lived a good half hour to 45 minutes at the most outside of Annapolis during high school, and that would have been right around the time that he got the radio station initially. Never heard about it.
By the way, for those wondering, the Pat Sajak show lasted from January 9th.
okay, can we mute him? This
God
is not
damn it.
relevant.
Not a credible source.
Not relevant. Jesus Christ.
All right.
So yeah, announced today, WNAV Radio is going to be sold to a local media company called BMSC. It's led by local broadcasters Chris Roth and Frank Brady, who have both worked for WNAV as on-air talent in the past. Sajak has held the station for about almost 25 years. But an FCC filing was put in today for the change of ownership. It is apparently designated as a historic radio station, and it is 1430 AM WNAV.
Damn it. Well, there goes my hopes of a couple of things, and I've still never heard of it. Historic, my ass.
Apparently, it is like public access radio. I guess kind of like, I don't know if it's NPR specifically, but it's like a NPR
Like PBS
variant.
for radio?
Yeah, like PBS for radio. Like you put something on radio, and if it doesn't sound like utter garbage, they'll put it on.
You know,
At least that's the vibe I'm getting based on what's in this press release and a little bit of the information that was accompanied how I got this.
Now, here's a little thought with some local color on this, and I'm going to go full screen because I've got an anecdote.
Make it quick. We're coming up on the 90-minute mark, and I don't want to hit it.
HFS 99.1 Baltimore, late 90s, early 2000s. Take this station, bring it back. And I'm not just saying that because of Naked Nubile Natalie or Amber the Lesbian Queefer. I'm done.
Family show?
See, I would have provided more context, but oh no, had to make it quick. So I hit the bullet points.
Sounds like that's a point of viewer.
That does sound like a point of viewer episode. Anyways, moving on. I would like to have all three of you join me in wishing this game show host's happy birthday today. Who is it?
I'm going to Google. Fuck this guessing
No.
game.
We actually talked about them on the show, or we mentioned the show that
Kurt
they
Fogg?
hosted tonight.
Oh.
No.
Wait, what other? Who was the host of Double Dare? Mark Summers.
Nope.
Okay, I quit.
Say
No.
I'm terrible at this guessing game. I quit.
Ruprecht. David Ruprecht.
Yes, a very happy birthday to David Ruprecht.
Yay! Happy birthday! For the love of God, rescue sweep.
Yes, please. Apparently, they didn't even bother to ask him to be
Fun
involved.
fact:
which is,
Fun fact: he'll find his $5,000 hiding behind the candles.
Gentlemen, we have a poll to post regarding next week's show. Do you have a show to throw in, or are we going to figure this out off air?
Yeah, let's do
Off
this
air.
off air, and especially with the echo.
Yeah,
All right.
Eric is normally more on top of the microphone management between us.
Yeah,
Next
but half
week
the
it should
time it says
hopefully
I
be
can't
more
mute or
resolved.
unmute you because you all mute your damn selves.
All right. So, any other quick news tidbits before we get out of here, Mr. Espinoza?
That's all I got for this week.
All right, that works for me. You have been listening to Life is Like a Game Show, a presentation of the W2M Network online at W2Mnet.com, in addition to all of your favorite podcast listening services: iTunes, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spreaker, Podbean, CastBox. Hey, Eric, guess what?
Spotify is here.
Speaking of which,
Oh,
Mr.
so
Watkins.
that's how that goes.
Speaking of which, Mr. Watkins, in addition to all of those fine services, where else can they find Life is Like a Game Show in video form?
Well, you can find us as we are here live on Twitch most nights, if there's no conflict with Radulich Broadcasting. Otherwise, Facebook, the Facebook Live page at W2M Network. When we're on Twitch, twitch.com/W2Mnet, twitter.com/W2M Network, and for those who want to be personal fans of the show, twitter.com/W2M Lilags, Lilags. And if you're not available to watch live, find us on YouTube, W2M Network.
Brian, where can people find you online?
I am on Twitter at the Andesian. Right now, it's World Season, so you're going to see a lot of League of Legends stuff.
League to the max.
The end of about through the end of or through early November here. I normally post a mix of esports and game show news, so you can find me here on the network. I'm doing special coverage of the League of Legends World Championships for video games to the max. The tournament is running through November 5th. We are broadcasting live daily after each broadcast day of games.
Brian, I have
Stay
only
tuned
one.
for Twitter.
I have only one request. The next episode of that has to be called League to the Max.
Don't look at
Dr.
me.
Man-
I'm not the producer.
Dr. Manhattan can make that happen. He's got this.
Jonathan, where can people find you online?
You can find me at JTN2002 on Twitch and Twitter. If you are a close personal friend of JTN, then you can get all the Facebook information. No, I don't have dark Twitters and such like somebody over there who's about to mention such things. So, yeah, there's that. Oh, also YouTube, but that's not getting any new content anytime soon.
Eric, same question. Where can people find you online? Remember,
Well,
family show.
When I'm not hosting the variety of shows here at WM to the Max, Soccer to the Max, maybe talk with Dr. Manhattan for Leagues to the Max or whatever, the kickoff right here on Life is Like a Game Show, you can find me on Facebook. You know the drill by now. Look for the picture of the guy holding a glass of wine in the recliner. When you search for Eric Watkins, maybe the occasional Flame War, couple other things here and there, posting stuff on Twitter at Squid Sportshead when I get to do some live tweeting. Unfortunately, because of timing conflicts, I couldn't do the live tweets for the recent men's national team qualifiers. Come November, that'll be rectified. And of course, although let me state for the record, I'm not the only one with a dark Twitter. However, if you slide into either my DMs or the DMs of the Indesian, undergo the thorough, strict, and proper vetting process, you will gain access to both of our dark Twitters, as well as a few other places I happen to be on. Telegram, Kick, Snapchat, wherever you may fancy in that regard.
At HEB the Eagle, pretty much everywhere social media related, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Snapchat's a thing that exists. I don't use it. I don't have space on my phone currently. I'm working on that. We'll see what happens.
It's not so much a dark Twitter. It's more of a like not professional Twitter.
Shaded. It's a
They
shaded
ain't supposed to know them words, Brian. Damn it. You almost made me miss the ending.
Anywho, like I said, HEB the Eagle is pretty much universal anywhere you're trying to reach me. If you want to give me show feedback, that's Yahoo as well. But remember, JTN, hate mail
to s.garmer@gmail.com. And always remember, when you're building yourself a bracket of the best game show of all time, remember to spay and neuter your bracket builders.
You have been listening to Life is Like a Game Show, a presentation of the W2M Network.